Okay, so today I've been trying different stab sizes with the 1310 on a super light wind day, averaging 8 knots. I've been using the 450, 350 and 300 progressive rear stabs. Okay, the obvious one that's missing is the 400 that I've lent it to somebody, but didn't deter from the trial. Very surprising results.
Okay, I'm going to play some of the video from today's session while I talk you through my thoughts on the stab sizes with the 1310. Now bear in mind that this is for winging. For flat water pumping, personally I think the biggest progressive stabs are definitely the best stabs to go for, the 475 or the 450, simply because they make pumping so much easier. Much less effort involved. There is a reduction in speed with those really big stabs, but that doesn't matter for flat water pumping, in my opinion, because you're not going anywhere near as fast as you do when winging. So you know that doesn't really become an issue. But that's the first thing I'll say with the 450 for winging. I found that I really noticed that reduction in speed that you get from the drag of that big stabilizer. However, absolutely masses of lift from that 450. Getting onto the foil, even in the lulls on this day, which was an average of 8 knots. And bear in mind, this is with a 6.5 wing, so I could have gone for my 8 meter, and a 60 litre board. So getting on foil in under 8 knots, the 1310 and the 450 was really, really easy. And yeah, although it pumps great, the lack of maneuverability was a real issue, as well as the slower speeds. Okay, so the 300, completely the opposite end of the scale, as you would imagine. Amazing in terms of turning and maneuverability, loads of control through the turns. I thought that was going to be an issue, but it wasn't. But a real big noticeable lack of lift and pump power. So clearly, for me anyway, the 300 wasn't enough to stabilize the 1310. And this makes perfect sense because, you know, with a big front foil, you would need a reasonable size rear stab to be able to stabilize the size of front foil. And now onto the 350, which was the big surprise, because having used the 400 and the 375 occasionally, I thought the 350 was also going to be too small, but it wasn't. It was the absolute clear winner for me. The reason is because there was just enough lift and pump power for me to not think, oh man, this is too little lift, too little pump power. It didn't detract from that side of the performance whatsoever, but the turning and the maneuverability was absolutely brilliant. I mean, okay, not quite as good as the 300, but in my opinion, as good as you can get in terms of maneuverability without losing too much of the pump power and lift. So getting on foil in the lulls, okay. In the real lulls, that was difficult, verging on impossible. But you know, in whatever it was, I don't know, 8, 9 knots, certainly 10 was pretty easy getting up on foil. Pumping, absolutely fine, because remember, when you're pumping on a wing, generally speaking, you've got a little bit of swell pushing you. I was actually pumping against the wind at one point, and it held its own. I was saying, it's really surprising. So yeah, the 350 for me is, at the moment, what I think is the smallest foil that I can use with the 1310 and not worry about any particular loss of performance.